Yusuf Zahab. I'm Australian. I'm 17 years old. I just got shot. My head's bleeding. I have an injury in my head, in my hand. There's no doctors here that can help me.
A teenage boy from suburban Sydney pleads for help from inside a Syrian prison as IS militants attack.
Seeing a lot of bodies of kids, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. My friends got killed here. I'm very scared. I'm by myself. There's a lot of people dead, a lot of people injured. People are screaming next to me. People are scared. I really need help. I really want to come back home. Please help me.
Yusuf Zahab's parents took him to Syria when he was 11. They were going to join his brothers, one of whom became a senior Islamic State figure. Yusuf was imprisoned for 3 years despite never being accused of a crime, and his family now believes he is dead.
This was preventable, this was avoidable, this was predictable.
In northeastern Syria, Yusuf was detained at Gaiwan prison in the city of Hasaka among hundreds of boys captured after the Islamic State fell.
There were almost certainly many hardened ISIS members among the detainees there. But there were also 700 boys, many of them like Yusuf, who were way too young to have ever had any choice in the matter of whether they lived under ISIS or fought under ISIS.
Like Yusuf, many boys were taken to adult jails when they turned 12, instead of the makeshift detention camps where their mothers and siblings were sent.
In the case of adolescent boys, and Yusuf was 14, they understandably were concerned that these boys had been what were called cubs of the caliphate, young fighters for the Islamic State. So they couldn't just bring them. So they ended up putting them in a detention center. And in this case, it was simply a wing of the prison in Hasaka.
His family in Australia issued a statement saying they are devastated. They hadn't heard from him since January and had grave fears for his well-being ever since.
This was a boy who spent his time on his bicycle playing, living a very normal life in Sydney. Suddenly he's in the middle of a war zone with one of the world's most notorious terrorist groups.
He was a very caring child. You know, he would look after the babies in the family. He would play with them. He was a happy child, and that's the way the family remember him.
Kamal Debussi's daughter and 3 grandchildren are also stuck in a northeastern Syrian detention camp. He visited them in 2019. He's since been advocating for many Australian women and children and is speaking on behalf of Yusuf's family.
The family received the news with great sadness, heartache and anger. Yusuf didn't need to die. We're in this ridiculous situation where we knew where he was, we knew he was underage. There would have been a very easy request to make to get him to safety.
Human Rights Watch crisis and conflict lead Letta Taylor requested to meet with Yusuf in May, but she says North East Syrian authorities denied her access.
I was never given an explanation, but it certainly raises a lot of questions. And I think this family, the family of Yusuf, needs to know what were the circumstances around his death? What did he die of?
A month later, former US diplomat Peter Galbraith was in Syria and asked the Kurds about Yusuf's welfare.
When I was there in June, I was told that they didn't have any information, and that led me to believe that he very likely was dead.
Why do we have to wait for a death for action to take place? It appears that the government has decided to kick the can down the road.
There are around 60 women and children left behind by their IS fighter husbands and fathers living in squalid detention camps. The Morrison government repatriated 8 children in 2019, but dozens of women and children remain.
To the family's knowledge, the family of Yusuf, no intervention was made on behalf of this boy, much less on behalf of the dozens of other Australians who've been held unlawfully for more than 3 years in North East Syria in absolutely horrific conditions. There should be a wake-up call to the new Australian government.
It's been a decision not to take the citizens back. It's something that is relatively easy to do. And if requested, the Syrian Kurds will turn over the women and children. And the United States will actually fly them out.
The Department of Foreign Affairs told 7:30 it's seeking to confirm Yusuf's death and has offered the family consular assistance. It added that repatriations require a whole-of-government approach and balancing risks. The families are hoping for action now a new government is in place.
I think the women and children, particularly the older children as well, do feel abandoned. They know there's a new government in place, and if this new government acts soon, then there will be a degree of trust and cooperation that the government can build and work with. And the longer they wait, the more that they'll disappear.